Boo-hoo.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Bold Voices. I'm Angela Bell Camino. Thank you so much for joining us and tuning in. So excited to have you here. Please, please, please share, repost the stream. We like to get as many people in the room as possible to chat with us, weigh in on the conversation. We love an open dialogue. We will pay attention to the chat. We will bring your bold comments, questions, feedback up on the screen. So let's do that. Like, subscribe on YouTube, all that jazz. Thank you guys so much for being here. Please chat with us. I'm so excited for this panel tonight. We have a very special guest who I haven't chatted with in months other than, on social media. Brandon Straka is here, the founder of the Walk-Away Movement, which he launched in 2018 after publicly leaving the Democratic Party. We also have with us Hannah Griff and Kevin Smith. Oh my God, that rhymed. If I planned that, I didn't. I love organic things like that.
I never realized that. Wow. Fun fact.
That was a first. Brandon, I'm so excited to see you. I know you and Kevin know each other. I know you and Hannah just met. I'm so curious to hear what's new with you. And are you still in New York or have you walked away from that too?
No, I'm actually still in New York now, and it's like this has been the most long, arduous, torturous transition move that imaginable. So I've been moving back for like 8 months, and by the way, still don't have an apartment, living in a hotel. It's a long story, but yes, I'm still in New York.
And how are things there? In your opinion? I mean, I know we were worried about it, Mom Donnie, and I'm actually sporting a New York shirt in you and Kevin's honor today, from afar. But how are things in your opinion right now? Or is they as bad as you anticipated or on the way?
It's really early. I mean, the man has been mayor for a month, but I'll say, I mean, mostly what we New Yorkers are battling right now is cold and snow. It's like it's awful. I mean, really, really, really awful. I mean, we've had some like sub-zero snaps happening over the last couple of weeks, and of course, we had this like massive snowstorm a couple of weeks ago, and it's been below 32 degrees ever since. So nothing has melted. So it's like people can't understand. Like New York is always sort of like the concrete jungle, right? And it's like you're always sort of like you have to be a survivalist to live in New York. But then there's like this extra special thing that happens when we have 5-foot snow drifts on the sidewalk, and there's like one over here and one over here, and then there's like a tunnel like this big that everybody in the city has to like figure out how to negotiate their way through. And we all hate each other on a day-to-day basis anyway, so it's only amplified by like 500% when that happens. And then I'm very sorry, this is going to upset a lot of people, but I'm just going to say it because I have to, because I've been dealing with it. Like everybody becomes like 500% more retarded when there's snow on the ground, but then on top of that, something happens to everyone over the age of 70, 75, where they become complete, like they stand in those little tunnels that we all have to share on the sidewalk to get through and just stare at the sky. It's like something happens after the age of 70 where people just, they get this, and then they just start staring at the sky. And we don't drive cars, we have to walk. So you just want to sit there, go like, but it's very frustrating. I'm sorry, your question was about Mom Donnie.
I feel you. I mean, I lived there for a long time, so there's so many frustrating things. So we could spend a whole hour just talking about that. So I get it. New York is a beast. It is not. There's so many. The struggle is real in so many ways.
Yeah,
and
You know what's wild about it too is that like it is so cold that 19 people have died in the last 8 days. That's how
Yeah.
cold it is. Like
Yeah.
all those like survivalist YouTube channels, they're all coming to Brooklyn to like teach you how to build shelter and how to make a ribeye steak underneath like peat moss. It's getting wild.
Very.
Brandon, it looks like we lost your internet a little bit. Like it's a little bit blurry. I don't know. You might want to. You're fine. I just want to. Maybe you want to leave and try to come back in. Is that okay? Do you mind trying that and seeing if that works? We lost.
Am I back?
You are frozen, and I think okay. I think you might be good.
Okay. I do apologize. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah, the image is just a little bit blurry.
Do you want me to leave and come back?
Yeah, maybe try it because sometimes that does work.
You might want to just wipe off the camera too.
But he was clear before. I think it was clear before. Just try to leave and come back just so we can see you better.
Right now,
Zoran, and we want to see you.
Right now, Zoran Mandani is taxing his internet service. So
exactly, he's being targeted for sure.
He is. He's being targeted. We are all being hunted out here in New York for being moderately successful and not boring.
There
we go. Look at that.
Yeah.
Better?
Yeah. It looks like it's better for sure. Yeah, Kevin was just saying that Mom Donnie's taxing your attacking your internet.
He's taxing your internet. You got to pay by the minute like we're in Brazil.
It's government provided internet, so this is what you get.
Speaking of, have you guys seen each other recently? When's the last time?
No. Well, no one has left the house optionally for about 2.5 weeks. But no, it's I haven't seen Brandon since he threw that awesome event in New York City. It was nice. It was good to be back out there in the neighborhood.
Yeah,
with everybody, and they were great speakers all over he did like 15 of them. I could only make a couple because I dread every moment of having to leave my little island and come to the smaller island. But it's important the work that he's doing, actually getting out there, out there in the neighborhoods and doing things in real life, because there's a lot of people out there that spend a lot of time bitching on social media but don't actually really do anything. And Brandon's one of the ones that's out there in the neighborhoods, out there
on the grounds. On the ground.
That was actually, oh, wait a minute. Oh my God. That was where I met you.
I know. I met you both in person at the same, at Brandon's event. So,
and then we all met
right before I left.
And then we all met New York's favorite naked protester, Crackhead Barney.
Oh yeah, that was the first one. Yeah, that was the first one we did.
I never thought I could find a pair I didn't like. Now some people need to keep their clothes on.
So Brandon, what issues have you been sort of most passionate about or focused on recently, lately? I think Save America Act is one of them that you've been sort of highlighting and talking about. Essentially the U.S. congressional bill with attention to voter registration and voting requirements to strengthen election integrity. I don't know why this is so controversial. I mean, it seems pretty straightforward to me. So the House of Representatives passed it, but now it's moving to the Senate. What do you think about the resistance it's going to face from the Senate?
Well, so I'd like to address what you just said. You said I don't know why this is so controversial, or like what the problem is. The reason why is because it's not the controversy or the resistance is not about what it's about. So and look, it is a very partisan issue as far as I'm concerned. So I'm just going to say it's the Democrats that are constantly resisting voter ID and sanctifying our elections. And they will say it's because, it's unfair to Black people, it's unfair to women, it's unfair because apparently everyone's too stupid to figure out how to get an ID or how to register to vote legally, or whatever their ridiculous assertion is. But of course, that's not what it's really about. What it's about is that if we actually have to make people start showing proof of citizenship to vote in our elections, it's only going to be to the detriment of the Democrat Party. And that's why there is so much resistance to trying to sanctify our elections, sanctify our voter registration process, our showing ID to be able to vote. That's what it's all about. And it's yeah, I mean, it's an issue that's important to me right now, but it has been for a long time. I mean, it's when the 2020 election happened. Kevin, and thank you for what you said a minute ago, Kevin, about being on the ground and stuff. I really I appreciate you saying that. That was I was one of about, I don't know, 15, 18 activists in 2020 that were running around the country being vocal advocates of the Stop the Steal movement after the 2020 election. And that's what this has always been about, is making sure that we have free and fair elections, and that we can trust our elections. I mean, that's it's so important. And I think it's one of the most one of the issues that I think is just causing this like boiling antipathy under the surface of this division among us, is because, like, I don't know a single Republican who, if they knew for a fact that whatever the results of an election are the results of an election, that everything's fair, everything is above board. If Democrats win, it is what it is. But it's like, I think the problem is we just don't feel like we can, it always feels like the system is rigged or it's gamed. And that's what's causing so much, I think, division and anger with so many people. One of the things, not the only thing, but one of the
Yeah,
things.
no, I feel like there are a lot. It's like, honestly, it's everything. Like, no one, there's disagreement and whatever on everyone's all over the place. But
Yeah.
no, it's really interesting because, yeah, I agree. Like, it seems so straightforward to me. So what is the issue? What is the pushback? Why wouldn't we want to prove that someone is a US citizen to be able to vote, right? To me, seems like a no-brainer. And from what I've seen, the critics, all they're really saying is it makes it harder or it's a burden for some people. But does that really outweigh, wanting to make sure? And Hannah, you said something funny earlier.
Yeah, if you're not competent enough, if you're not competent enough to figure out how to get an ID, then like you shouldn't be voting anyways. And I mentioned this to my husband the other night because I was wondering if people are confused between a driver's license and an ID. Like, they don't realize that you can get an ID without having to have a driver's license. It just requires, getting your birth certificate and maybe a utility bill and going to the DMV. Like, if you can't handle that, you can't handle voting.
and what's so wild about it is that someone, I forgot who it was that said it, but they were like, oh, a driver's license doesn't prove that you're a citizen. And I'm sitting here going, that kind of is an issue.
It is here in Oregon.
We're handing out driver's licenses to people who, I'm not saying you can be a green card holder, you could be numerous other things to get a driver's license, but maybe the accessibility of driver's licenses is not all it should be. At the New York State DMV, they provide forms in 52 languages to get a driver's license, which is odd considering the street signs are all in one, which is probably why we have tractor trailers on Long Island highways that always run into the underpass, because there's a big ass sign that says no tractor trailers.
It's interesting how that's an issue in states like New York and Oregon. In Oregon, you can get a driver's license if you're illegal, and when in Oregon they also have some sort of law where once you get your driver's license, you're automatically registered to vote. And in Oregon, we have only mail-in voting, so you get your ballot in the mail and then you drop it off at City Hall or the library or whatever. But
what
there's
could
no
possibly go wrong?
Yeah, it's crazy. One year before, I think it was like in high school, maybe the first time I voted, I was living with my grandma and she was like, here, when you go take your ballot, take mine too. And I was like, is that like allowed? Like, can I do that? Like, I was flabbergasted. She's like, yeah, you just put it in the box. I was like, that's questionable.
Yeah, we don't want questionable.
Yeah.
Hey, Angela, I wanted to talk for a second on the issue of, like, the very Democrat heavy talking point about the difficulty of being able to obtain an ID for some people, because I was watching a clip that was going viral today with Scott Jennings talking to CNN's Abby Phillips, and Abby was look, I don't like 99% of what Abby Phillips says, but she's an intelligent woman, like she's smart, so she knows better, and so she's on her show, saying a lot of rural people. And she even, because she was trying to like act like she was reaching across the aisle, she was like, even a lot of rural white people have trouble obtaining their IDs. And of course, women who get married and all this stupid nonsense. And I started thinking about it for a second, and I remembered something that I had forgotten about. Many, many years ago, I was the victim of a robbery. Somebody came into my apartment, kind of cleaned me out, and they took. Yeah, well, they took my wallet, they took my bag, but so I was left. I mean, they took my birth certificate, my social security card, my ID. I was literally left with no form of ID, nothing. I had nothing to tell anyone who I was. So I had to start from scratch. And I had to go back, and you have to do it in certain order, because you have to like have a birth certificate to be able to get a social security card, and you have to have this to be able to get this. And I'm not going to say it wasn't a bitch. It was a bitch. But piece by piece by piece, I had to restore all of my different forms of ID. And I would like to also mention, at the time, I was a very, very poor person. I mean, I was a person living paycheck to paycheck in New York City during the days of my life where I was like scraping change from the couch cushions to go order off the dollar menu at McDonald's, because that's all the money that I had. But I was able to get all of my forms of ID over the course of weeks and months, everything restored. So the point of this little fairy tale that I am telling you, this story, is that there's no excuse for anyone not being able to obtain whatever form of ID that they need to obtain if it means enough to them to go out and vote. Like, and I'd forgotten that had happened to me, but I was left with nothing, and I was able to restore everything I needed, get all the IDs I needed, and anyone can do it. So I don't want to hear it.
And it's so funny too, because in New York, it actually explicitly says on the voter registration form, if you don't have ID, check this box. Like, so not only do we not need, I think, I don't know, like, not only do we not have ID, but we have, like, let me see if I can get this on the screen. Literally at the, here we go. See if I can work this out. On the voter ID form, on the very bottom, it says, if you don't have a social security number or driver's license number, check this box. And I'm like, what? Like, what grown adult doesn't know their social security number, like, off the top of their, I mean, look, I don't know my driver's license number. Who the hell knows that? But, like, how have you filled out a form ever for anything? Like,
well, that's what I was curious about, is like, what kind of adults who it's placing this burden on supposedly to get an ID, what kind of adults are functioning in society without some form of ID like that? Like, you can't get a bank account, you can't have a job. Like, perhaps those are the people that shouldn't be voting anyhow. Like, I feel like anyone who is a contributing member of society probably has an ID or a driver's license at this point. And like,
it's wild too that this is like the only topic that everyone agrees on. I mean, it's like overwhelmed. There's nothing in America polls at 78%. Pizza doesn't poll at 78% because there's so many vegans out there who'll be pissed off at the cheese. Like, nothing out there polls this high.
I think it's actually 84%.
That's wild.
Yeah, 84% of Americans support requiring a photo ID to vote.
There's a great video. I think it's Ami Horowitz. He went to Columbia University in Morningside Heights, and he asked all like the rich white people there about voter ID, and they were like, "Oh, well, black people can't get an ID." And then he walked out of the university and walked to the other side of the block and asked all, "Hey, do you guys know how to get an ID?" And they were like, "Yeah, you get on the number 4 bus, you take 3 stops, the DMV's right there." Like, it turns out that this is just one more example of like the soft bigotry of low expectations, where like the white liberal savior complex comes in, and they're like, well, I'm going to stand up for the people that I believe are below me in society. And it's like, no, I'm pretty sure black people can get IDs.
Yeah, another fun fact is basically 47 out of 47 European countries require government issued photo IDs at polls. So it was like 46 out of 47 due to the UK, but they've since come around as well in the past few years. So it's literally all European countries require it.
Those evil. Well, of course, those are the racist ones. I guess that'll be the. But like I said before, I love all the women out there who are like, women out there just can't get IDs. They can't figure it out how to change on your ID or like. And here's the thing, like this law doesn't even require like the proof of citizenship. Some of these laws just require you to show that you are the person. Like you could show up with a damn electric bill, and if you're registered to vote, that shows that you are the person. It's not you go with a library card or like a student ID. We're really not asking a lot here.
No, I don't think so either. But Kevin, who does support voter ID? Your buddy John Fetterman.
John Fetterman, I tell you,
your buddy. I know you want to have a beer with him. We all do.
So bad. First off, he's like that guy friend that when you hang out with, you're like, oh, I hope his wife doesn't come, like, because he just seems like he's so much more fun without her. Like he was a lunatic during you haven't seen the wife since the campaign ended, and since then he's become so much more normal.
Speaking of, let's watch a quick clip of him talking about it.
Me as a Democrat, I do not believe that it's unreasonable or to show ID just to vote. And I remind everybody that less than a year ago in Wisconsin, they added that to the Constitution by a 63%, passing to put that in the Constitution that you have to show ID to vote. And they also elected a very, very liberal justice into their Supreme Court. So it's not a radical idea for regular Americans to show your ID to vote. And it's absolutely, those things are not Jim Crow or anything. Of course, that's part of an awful, awful legacy of our nation for so long ago. But where we are now, trying to find a way forward, just trying to call balls and strikes, seeing what's unreasonable, hopefully we don't have to do, and pay the TSA people and everyone, secure our border, and focus on deporting all of those kinds of criminals wherever they are. That's the guy that votes for that and supports that as a Democrat, and I don't ever want to vote to shut our government down again.
Right, and you are very much where the people are. Look, that's what most people would like to see. Prioritize the criminals. Take the criminals out of the country who are here illegally but are also committing crime. But, I mean, is there any other way to view the fact that Democrat leadership refused to have ID to vote? Is there any other way to read it other than they want illegals to vote? I mean, can you read it any other way?
Well, I mean, for me, the Save Act is not going to pass because of the filibuster, because they would need at least 7 or 8 Democratic votes to pass that. And now remember also, all the Democrats, all we wanted to eliminate the filibuster, except for it was Manchin and Sinema. They wanted to eliminate the filibuster, and now our party loves the filibuster. And then I do think think the filibuster is a good thing, and it does force us to work together overall.
Right. Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I will say this as a Democrat, I do not believe it's radical or extreme to just produce ID to vote overall.
Exactly. All right, Senator.
See, John Fetterman gets it.
Can he, not for nothing, could he finish that basement? Like, it looks like he's filming an ISIS hostage video. Like, every time he does that, I'm like, bro, can you get, like, some sheetrock or something? Every time. He's got the hoodie. He's got to, like, hold up a USA Today to prove that he's alive. Yeah, he's right, though.
All right. Well, anything anyone else has to say about voter ID, real ID, Save America Act? I think we covered it. I know another issue that Brandon, you've been talking about is DHS funding, including potential shutdowns, shutdown impacts on agencies like TSA, the Coast Guard. Essentially, the Senate Democrats blocked the proposed DHS funding bill because it doesn't include changes to immigration enforcement policies, use of force standards, warrants, etc. Where are you at on this? How are you viewing this Democratic opposition when it comes to this?
Well, I mean, look, this is one of, I think, just many things right now that we can't actually get anything to move forward. And it's easy, I think, to come and dunk on the Democrats, which is what, obviously been a favorite pastime of mine for a very long time. But I'm frustrated because here we are, with Republicans in control of the House and the Senate and the Oval Office, and I there's just so many things that I want to see happening right now that are not happening. And so I mean, that's just one thing I think that's frustrating me. So
Yeah,
ask
I
me
do
something
wonder about
specific.
that too. Like it's interesting that and frustrating that like you said, more isn't getting done. Like I would expect that we were running everything right now. Like why is all this being held up? It just seems
look, and I haven't been happy with Speaker Johnson, and certainly not happy with Leader Thune. But for all intents and purposes, we may have the majority, but we really don't. With the amount of vacancies that have gone on over the course, particularly now, we only have a 2-seat majority. For all intents and purposes, Massey votes against everything, which means every member of Congress has to be satisfied. We don't have a large enough margin in the Senate either for the supermajority for the filibuster, and we've got old school neocon Republicans like Murkowski and Collins and Tillis and McConnell who will vote against seemingly everything. So while we do have the majorities, we don't have a sort of Newt Gingrich, John Boehner type majority in the House where we can just pop through everything we want. And I think that's why people like Massey have had so much power recently, is because of the vacancies. You have an empty seat in Marjorie Taylor Greene's seat right now. You have an empty seat in California because somebody died. Those are 2 Republican seats. Both of those governors do not have to call an election anytime soon. Gavin Newsom can keep the seat open until election day 26. Right now, I believe it's a 3-seat majority, but Mikey Sherrill's district in New Jersey is about to be filled by a lunatic, someone who is so insane that she's so progressive and has the backing of AIPAC. Like, this is one of the most dangerous women in America. She's going to fill a solidly Democratic seat. So while we and I mean this truthfully, we have to hope that someone in the House doesn't die, or we're going to get Hakeem Jeffries in this election year.
You're right.
Sorry, I kind of just ran out of breath there.
You ran out of breath? I don't think.
I didn't end the sentence. I just stopped talking. Yeah, no. So we and there are currently 4 Republicans in the House of Representatives who were born prior to the end of World War II. So we have to hope these people don't die. And it turns out when you're in your late 70s and in your 80s, you die a lot, quite often. So if one of those happens in a blue state, you die a lot when you're 80. You die a lot. I guess you only die once, but. Oh, yeah, we have to hope that a blue state Republican doesn't die, or we're going to get Speaker Jeffries.
Angela, when you were asking me about DHS, specifically at what's happening right now, did you want to kind of focus on ICE and what's happening in our country right now with?
I mean, you can. I was just curious kind of to hear, sort of what because I think you have been talking about it. I was just curious to hear your thoughts on it in general, or what, you're most concerned about. But
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because I feel like I didn't really answer your question because I was too busy complaining about Republicans being impotent. Yeah, I mean, if you want to go back to DHS, no, I mean, it's really frustrating. I guess the reason why I went that direction is because, look, I am very like I would like to deport every non-legal citizen or non-legal resident of our country. I don't think that people have a right to be here if they didn't, go through our system the correct and legal way. And so I'm somebody who actually wants to see more deportations. I think that we're not deporting enough. And it's just sort of frustrating to me because, when Democrats have been in power, under other administrations, there's a lot more deportations, but the Democrats were very, very quiet. That had nothing to say about ICE or DHS at that time. And now, of course, they want to defund and block bills to fund ICE. When I'm frustrated because we're not even deporting enough people right now. So that's kind of where I stand.
Yeah, I was having an interesting conversation with some people. Like, it just brings up an interesting point for Democrats who are like acting like ICE just came out of nowhere and it's all under Trump and it didn't exist before. And my friends were like, I didn't know anyone who was affected by this before. And like, but it was happening,
Always, yeah.
Now it's like in the mainstream media, it's out there and we're hearing about more. But I'm just like, I just think you weren't hearing about it then.
Well,
somebody literally said that to me today. Somebody said, ICE didn't even exist in 2023. And I was like, are you crazy? But you're right. It's like, they think it's like Doge. They think like Trump created ICE. Like it's a new department.
Meanwhile, for everyone over the age of 30, you may remember a very famous photo of a guy holding an MP5 in Elian Gonzalez's face back in 99. In that closet. And it's like, I'm pretty sure that was before Trump. I'm pretty sure Janet Reno sent that guy to go do that. They just called it something different. But I think a lot of the reason why people are frustrated is because of the way the numbers get reported. The Obama numbers, the 3 million that get cited routinely, are because he included people that he turned away at the border rather than like go into your house and grab people. So that's why those 3 million numbers are what they are. A lot of people say that we need to, it'll be a failure if we don't deport more people than Obama. And it's like, well, we also have a lot more here. We also have a lot more pushback from the blue states. And we have the sort of fudged numbers, so to speak, of the people that Obama turned away. Now, I want more to be done. Absolutely. But I'm also a political strategist, and there is no way you're going to convince me that what's been going on in Minnesota has looked good. It just had 2 American citizens died that didn't have to die. This has been a bad PR for the president. We did get to see videos of people throwing dildos at ICE cars, which I have to be honest with you is pretty funny. Because why don't we let them control the country? I know before I go to one of Brandon's events, before I'm leaving the house, I'm like, okay, keys, wallet, phone, rubber penis. You got to make sure you bring that with you. But for them to pull out of Minnesota like they did now, a lot of people are saying that Trump caved or whatever, that taco meme. And it's like, look, it didn't look good. It looked very, very bad. And you know what? I think they got enough out of Minnesota to go somewhere else for right now. Come back in a year.
Well, back to DHS, and another person who supports it once again is John Fetterman. Shocker, always me and Fetterman. But this is some interesting things that he had to say. Shutting DHS down has 0 impact and 0 changes for ICE. ICE already has $75 billion in funding from the BBB that I did not vote for, but it will hit FEMA, Coast Guard, TSA, and our cybersecurity agency. As a Democrat, I can't vote to shut down critical parts of our government. So that was just an interesting sort of comment.
Democrats are about to shut down the government over funding they already voted for.
Yeah, it's like, do they are they, it that just kind of proves to me that it's all just like for show. It's all just political theater. You're not even doing anything that would stop your like go for your cause. It's just
that's
bizarre.
right. If that's what it's all about, and it's not even going to actually affect that, then what's happening here?
Then yeah, what's your point?
It's also they're trying to shut down the government to quell what has been a great economy. We saw markets booming. I'm not going to name what the Dow is at right now because I don't want to end up like a Pam Bondi meme.
Please no.
In what can only be described as, I don't know who told her that was a good idea. That was one of the worst things ever. But the market is really kicking. We're getting big jobs numbers despite many people being removed from the federal government. And if a government shutdown happens right now, you are going to see the markets tank. You're going to see that quelled. And I think that they're doing everything they possibly can to stop Trump from getting any sort of momentum, particularly as, look, the midterms have already started. The Democratic primary in New Jersey is in like 3 weeks. So people need to wake up and remember that elections never stop. And it's all about momentum. And if we go into the summer with great jobs numbers, with more deportations, with things working in the way they're supposed to work, it'll be the only saving grace for Republicans in 26. So they're trying to stop that.
It's just unreal that they want to stop that. Because they don't want Trump to look good, when it's like you're actively rooting against the American people. Mm-hmm. When it's like these are the types of markets that Americans benefit from, and more people are working and more people are, making money. It's like, why is that a bad thing? Why do you want to stop that and take things just to make it look bad for Trump? Like it's delusional and anti-American.
I think it's also because they know that they don't have any policies to run on. All they're doing right now, look, say what you will about Zohran Mamdani, he gave people something to vote for. Now, I think he's incredibly dangerous and he's going to destroy New York City if he is allowed to continue to do the nonsense in which he is doing. But we now live in a world where you need to give someone an affirmative good for them to get off their couch and come vote for you. You can't just be anti-everything. And right now the Democrats seem as though they're anti-everything. And that doesn't bode well moving into an election cycle.
It's just that kind of whole gradual shift, I think, of the left. And Angela and Brendan, I'm sure you guys can speak on it. And I'm thinking, most recently kind of the recent walk away from the Democrat Party by all the Nicki Minaj fans. I think it's just Nicki. Right. It's just interesting.
Yeah. Hannah's a huge fan, by the way, Brandon, in case you didn't know.
Oh yeah.
What is it called? Barb. Yeah.
Barb. But it's just interesting, like seeing how that's happened a lot. Maybe I'm just not on that side of the internet, so I haven't seen it, but I feel like that doesn't happen from the Republican Party, like people walking away kind of in a mass migration or a movement like this. And it just makes me it makes me realize how far the left has gone to just be contrarians to everything. And they truly don't have the normal American people best interest at heart. They I'm thinking of my great grandparents that both came over here from the Philippines, and they worked hard, they became citizens, they did it legally, they did it for a reason so that their children and their grandchildren and great grandchildren would have better opportunities in America. They loved this country, and that's been so ingrained in me. It is, distant, my great grandparents, but I did meet both of them, and my great grandma lived until I was 15. So I found out a lot about just, them coming to America and the whole process, and they were so proud of it. And for that to be something that is when did it shift to just anybody can come and anybody deserves to be here? And that's not how it used to be, a couple of generations ago. And it's kind of all of these little things where it's what is common sense the left is slowly moving away from. And I think it's causing a lot of people who have common sense to be wait a minute, why are we arguing these things that totally make sense? Why are we arguing things that no sane normal person would argue, and like the country that we love and want to protect and have Americans succeed. It's like their whole base is literally just being opposed to that. And yeah, Kevin, I think you're right. I don't think that's going to work for much longer, because it's like
I don't think it is either. It's boring. Like you need to. We live in a time now where the world moves so quickly that politicians. It used to be, the whole get out of your way sort of mentality. Like, I don't want anything but the government to leave me alone. And it's like, no, actually, with the rise of populism on both the right and the left, the most popular politicians in America are the ones who actually make people feel like they care about them. Maybe they don't. Maybe it's all smoke and mirrors, and maybe they're just trying to get elected. And you could be totally right about that. But there is a certain feeling about it. Take, I'll give you a perfect example. There's probably a lot of politicians that we could name who have done things that we disagree with. George Santos, but he spent time with people. He would go into Twitter Spaces and he would talk to people, and he answers his phone, and he would go to events. And the people of Long Island, despite all the crap that he did, still love him because they felt like he was one of them. And we were just talking about I'm not going to bring that up, Angela, because I don't want to get in trouble. But there is AOC, Bernie. They act like they care about regular people. Now, I think the way they go about things is incredibly wrong, and how they're going to get to it. But you need to give people a reason to get off the couch. For example, in Nassau County, which is right next to Queens, or it's borders New York City, in 2024, both Republican, it was two Republican seats. It was George Santos and Anthony D'Esposito. They removed George and they put somebody else in there to run. The two congressmen underperformed President Trump by 37,000 votes. Now, those were two seats that saved the House of Representatives in 2022. So 37,000 people in one county got off their couch, got dressed, got in the car, waited in line, flipped the switch for President Trump, and looked at the rest of the congressional members and went, "No, I'm good," because they didn't give them a reason to come vote for them. And because of that, we got two Democratic members of the House of Representatives, where in a county that Trump overwhelmingly won. I think that people need to make that sort of effort now. And the ones that do are the ones that end up being wildly successful. Like, look at Jasmine Crockett. Like, she's dumb. She's dumb. Like, she's not good at this. But she puts herself out there. She's getting the clips. She's doing the thing. She's politicking. And because of that, she's seen as a good politician. And I think more Republicans need to understand that sort of mentality.
Well, this is a great transition, actually, because, first of all, there's some breaking news per CNN that the amount of Americans saying the Democrat Party is too liberal has surged to nearly 60%, according to CNN. So that's kind of on par. And so I wanted to ask you, Brandon, about the walkaway movement currently and sort of what the current momentum is like. Are you noticing shifts in who's walking away since the last election? Kind of what you're seeing?
We've actually, it's really amazing. I've seen a really large increase in the last few months of people sharing their stories with us. Our group, so Walkway started on Facebook as a Facebook group. And that's where people come join, share their videos and their written testimonials about why they're leaving the Democratic Party. And we've had this massive uptick of activity in the last couple of months, where we're getting like 6 to 10 new testimonials a day in the group. Wow. And that's just people who are sharing their stories. So we've started doing this thing. We're going to launch it probably in, I'm going to say 2 weeks just to be safe, but it possibly before that. It's really, really cool. Like when I first started Walkaway, it was, people just making their videos, or they would come and do a written testimonial, one of the two. And for a long time, I always wanted to take the written testimonials and somehow like turn them into videos, or so, like make them more than just written copy, because the videos obviously are easy to share. Like, how do you share a written testimonial on X or Instagram or, whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm actually glad we kind of waited, because I had these ideas years ago where I was like, well, what if we just have the words spell out on the screen and add music, and stuff like that. But now my team and I have begun turning the written testimonials into like little movies. and we use AI and animation, and it's unbelievable. I mean, they're so good. I'm so excited to launch them because what we do is like we get permission from the people that we're going to make their stories into videos, and then they'll provide us a picture, and then we can take their picture and turn it into an AI talking image. Like you can't even tell it's not a person, and then we animate their story, and like it's really amazing. But anyway, so we've seen this really huge uptick recently of people sharing their stories, and so we're taking a lot of those written stories and making them into like little movies. And if I could tell you too, it's a little off of what you asked me, but it's I think a really good thing to talk about, because earlier you were saying, you know, like what are some of the issues that are kind of important to me right now. This really amazing thing happened when we were doing all the events in New York last year. I expected when we were doing all the live street debates that we were going to hear from these like radical, indoctrinated Marxists who were just like, you know, hated America and just wanted to embrace socialism because they were anti-capitalist or anti-America or whatever. And we did see some of that. But overwhelmingly, the majority of the people, I think, who were supporting Zoran Mamdani, and this is to the point that Kevin was just making, um, it wasn't that they were so radicalized or, you know, unhinged un-American people. It was that they were people who felt like they had done everything right and that the system had failed them. And so we were hearing all these people basically say, like, look, I don't think I'm ever going to be able to get out of debt. I don't think I'm ever going to be able to own a home. I'm working a job or multiple jobs. I'm 37 years old and I'm still living with roommates, and I don't see that situation changing anytime soon. And so I started to realize, now this is, we're talking about like, you know, last July, August, you know, of 2025. I started to be like, wow, you know, Republicans are not talking about this affordability crisis at all. Like it's really not being discussed. And then there's another point I was going to make, but then it seemed like when it got to the election and we got like slaughtered in the election, both at, you know, in New Jersey and Virginia, here in New York, all the elections. And then all of a sudden everyone was like, well, we weren't talking about affordability. We weren't talking about affordability. Now, if you go back and look at my ex post, I was screaming about it, like based off of the real world conversations I was having with people all over New York. And so the thing that is the most important to me, right? Well, no, I'm not gonna say the most important, but very important to me going into this midterm election year is addressing the affordability issue. Because if we can't come up with some, oh, I know what I was gonna say. What Republicans tend to do is malign socialism without providing any solutions. So, you know, we do this thing where we're like, socialism sucks, socialism sucks. Well, that's a great bumper sticker. But the problem is all of these people are saying, okay, you keep saying capitalism is good, capitalism's great, and socialism sucks, but we're in a capitalist system, and I feel like capitalism is failing me. And I think that's a legitimate argument that these people are making. And this is not, I'm not I'm pro-capitalism. I'm a capitalist, but I can look at this and say, like, look, whatever we're doing isn't working. And you don't have to listen to me. You can listen to millions of people who are telling you exactly the same thing that I'm saying. So one thing that we're going to do with Walkaway this year that I'm very excited about is basically we're going to do like a young voters affordability summit in Washington, D.C. And I'm currently assembling speakers for what's going to be like a conference style event. And this is not going to be an event where, you know, we just come out on stage with pyrotechnics and say, you know, rah, rah, MAGA, and do like a MAGA pep rally. Like, no one is allowed to come to this event if they don't come with solutions. That means, like, how are we going to get people out of debt? How are we going to make home ownership a reality for young people in this country? How are we going to make college affordable? And so I want to bring economists and strategists and elected officials, and I want to get as many young people to Washington, D.C. as possible when we do this event. And it's not just for young people. It's going to be for, it's also going to be like a midterm strategy summit. But I want to put a lot of focus on affordability. And so this is what Walkway is going to be focusing on a lot this year, is courting back so many people under 30 who have lost faith in the system, and try to provide some real answers and solutions to give them that hope and inspiration back that their vote matters and that America can work for them.
Yeah, that's honestly, man, that's such a good idea. I've actually been speaking to members of Congress about ways to make college more affordable. And I think one of the biggest ones, and I would love to be a part of your summit because there are so many things that young people just don't. And I say this all the time. I don't blame them for voting for Zorhan or voting because if you're not invested in the system, then you don't care about the system. Exactly. Most and that sort of, that black pilling thing is it's upsetting, but it's understandable. I've been working with some members of Congress right now. One way we can make college more affordable is to make it dissolve the debt through bankruptcy. The only debt that you can't get rid of through bankruptcy is student loan debt. Now, this is not to force people to declare bankruptcy. This is to force colleges to make college affordable again. See, what happened in the late 90s was what's happening all over the country. People were going to Harvard Medical School and Yale Law School, and they were taking out all the loans, and they would just file bankruptcy. Because if you're a Harvard-educated lawyer, do you really need credit until you're 30 years old? Probably not. So colleges were like, yo, we're getting screwed here on the back end. And so Bill Clinton passed a law saying that the only debt that is non-transferable through bankruptcy is student loan debt. If you get into credit card debt, if you get into mortgage debt, any debt you can get rid of if you file bankruptcy except student loans. So since 1998, when that happened, college prices have soared because they know they're going to get their money. If you're poor and you're really smart and you can go to Yale or you can go to Harvard. And Harvard is $50,000 and Yale is $100,000. Where are you going to go? You're going to go to Harvard. You're going to pick the cheaper of the two options. But both of them just all got together and said, you know what? Let's both charge $100 because we know no matter what, we're going to get our money. Also, I wouldn't mind proposing some sort of law where the important majors in colleges are either discounted, subsidized, or completely free. STEM education, science, technology, engineering, mathematics. You want to go to school for art history? You want to go to school like me for political science, a completely useless degree that I didn't need? Like, okay, you pay for that yourself. But there has to be new aged ideas. President Trump mentioned stopping private equity firms from buying single family homes. That would be something that would be a market check that would actually help people in the real world. We talked about, President Trump talked about forcing credit cards to stop paying 20, 25, 30, 35% interest. Because if you're paying 35% interest to MasterCard on a $5,000 debt, on a $10,000 debt, you are not free. You are a slave. You are a slave to Visa. Maybe you're not on a plantation. Maybe you're not getting whipped every day. But when that credit card bill comes in the mail and you look at the little minimum, if you pay the minimum amount, how long it will take you to pay off, and it says 115 years, is that freedom? All for an industry that's making 55, 60, 70, 80% profit every year. Believe me, Visa ain't going to die if we bring it down to 15% max. 20% max. Right now, you have these payday loan companies charging 8,000% interest on a payday loan. That is usury. That is a sin. You want to use the Christian terms. That's a sin. That is something we should not do. A lot of these things have to be checked. And I think those would really have marketable impacts on people's lives. Look, the administration's been doing a lot of great stuff. I think it's great that we kidnapped a giant communist in his pajamas. But you know what? If we were able to curb some of these credit card bills, get people back invested in the system, I think that's what the Trump accounts do. They get people investing early. They get them starting to care at a young age. If you're 14 years old and your parents have been putting money away into this Trump account, and when you turn 18, you start with a nest egg. You start with something. Maybe you want to buy a car when you get out. Maybe you want to go to Europe. Maybe you want to do whatever the hell you want to do. Maybe you want to keep that investing so you can retire at 40. These are real world things that I think could help people out. Also getting young people into investing early.
I think that's kids don't have a reason to these days. It's I feel like ranty. No, you're
just something I'm really passionate about because I got 500 friends that left New York. We all do, because there's no future here. Do you want to be 40 living in your childhood bedroom? Because the cheapest house in your neighborhood is $1 million, not a palace, like 1,000 square foot house is $1 million. You need $300,000 to put down on a house to pay $9,000 a month in mortgage. It's never gonna happen.
Yeah, I think it's the affordability, like you mentioned, Brandon. It's something that's not really acknowledged on the right. And I've had a couple tweets do pretty well regarding this topic, and I do feel like it's very much young kids are told that they're crazy or they need to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. And I do believe that to a certain extent. I'm 30, turning 31 this year, and I feel in some sense like I got like the last chopper out, because I bought my house and got in 2020 and got, a 3% rate. And when I lived in California from 2013 to 2016. After high school, I went to school there for a little while. Me and my best friend had a little shitty apartment 3 blocks away from the beach in Huntington Beach, and we lived there for 2 years. And it was a little 1-bedroom. We made it work, but we lived in Huntington Beach, and we were a few blocks from the beach. We didn't care. It was $1,300, so $650 each. And we were broke back then, but we did it. And I looked recently at those same apartments, no major upgrades or anything. They're going for $38,000 to $5,000 per month. And it's like, that's not just kids being able to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. That's twice what my mortgage payment is for my house for an apartment that I lived in as a shitty college apartment. Like, these kids are not disillusioned and crazy by thinking that they can't afford things, or that, rent is too expensive, or that they'll never be able to buy a house, because that is the reality for them right now. And we can't tell them, oh, you can't have stuff for free and pull yourself up by your bootstraps. I don't think that really exists anymore. I know a lot of people who do it and do their best. My sister is 23, and she works her ass off, but she still lives at home. She lived with us. Now she lives with grandma. Because she there's no way she could afford rent, even though she works more than full time. So it's just, it needs to be acknowledged, and we can't keep telling these kids that they're crazy and that they need to work harder, because those aren't realistic solutions at this point.
No, they're not. And speaking of unrealistic solutions, it's so, like I said, we got shellacked in November, and then all of a sudden for like 5 days, Republicans wanted to talk about the affordability crisis. Suddenly they like had this come to Jesus, and it literally lasted like 1 week. And during that, week or so, we started hearing solutions like a 50-year mortgage. And this is kind of like what Kevin was talking about a second ago. Well, okay, first of all, that like, it's so preposterous, but it's like a 50-year mortgage. You end up paying for your house 3 times. By the time, and by the way, like, I can remember, even though it was a minute ago, what it felt like to be, 20 years old. Nobody wants to sign a 50-year loan at age 20. I mean, it's like, why don't you go pick out your casket right when you get out of high school, and start financing your coffin? Like, no one's going to want to do that. And so that's what I'm saying. I mean, we have to actually come up with real solutions that actually make sense and actually give people hope. And Hannah, you're so right. Like, we can't just be lecturing. The circumstances have changed so much. This isn't the same world anymore, where you could be like a 45 or 50 or 60-year-old person and look at somebody who's 18 or 19 or 20 years old and say, you guys just have to work hard and don't be so lazy, and roll up your sleeves and get to work. And the circumstances are totally changed. If I was 20, 21 years old right now, I mean, hell, Hannah, you're what, 30? If I were your age, I would be terrified. Honest to God, terrified. The prospect, I heard something the other day, or I think it was this morning when I was getting ready, that in 5 years, I don't know if this is true. This is just like, something that was being, it's an economic theory that was being floated that apparently, according to the internet, Elon Musk has embraced as well. But basically, it was saying that in like whatever amount of money you have in 5 years, like that's the economic bracket you're going to be stuck in for the rest of your life. Because they were saying with AI taking over, and technology and all this stuff, that wherever you are in 5 years is approximately the bracket you'll be stuck in for the rest of
Yep.
your life.
I heard the same thing. Yeah.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
Why would you ever have any hope or incentive if you were 19 or 20 years old with the prospect of the American workforce looking like that? Like, we've got to address this. This is very serious.
It used to be in America that you needed to try and fuck up. Like you had to do something. You had to be like either a little banged up or an alcoholic, or you had to get on drugs, or you were just a degenerate. Now you need a plan to succeed, and that is very different. The era of like high school graduate getting a good union job at the Ford factory, or working for Con Edison, or getting a 20 and out pension with the city of New York as a carpenter, electrician, MTA. Those days are over. Our parents, we're all relatively the same age. Our parents, if they were like a complete fuck up at like 24, they just took a civil service test and became like, a maintenance guy on the railroad. And then they did that for 20 years and then they retired with a pension for the next 40. Those days are gone. Now, if you take New York City civil service tests, you have to work 25 years and be 65 before you can collect the pension. So I used to work with a guy about 15 years ago. He joined the NYPD when he was 19. He retired at 39, and he lived on a 3/4 pension. At the age of 39, if that guy lives till he's 80, he will have gotten paid out twice the amount of money, or 3 times the amount of money, I should say, than he worked. You can't live on a pension for 40 years that you worked 20 for. And those used to be jobs that you didn't need a college education. So you didn't start off with a student loan debt. You didn't start your career at 25 after getting a, degree in business. You just did it out of high school. And those jobs simply don't exist, and the ones that still do exist don't have the terms around them. Like, you can't just go work your 40-hour day at the Stellantis factory, like Eminem and 8 Mile, like just plugging away. Those jobs aren't there anymore, and they're going away faster and faster every single day. So if you're not locked into that union now, you ain't getting in. You can't just go to like your hard hat with your little lunch pail and go down to the textile mill like you're in a Bruce Springsteen song. Those places don't exist anymore. And I think that a lot of the boomers, the people who are 50 plus, don't really understand that the world young people are living in today is a different universe than it was in the 90s. We're not going back to, my grandfather walking both ways uphill to school with no shoes on. We're talking about like when I was a kid, when I was a child, the world is not the same place. It used to be you could join the military to get out of where you were and learn a trade. It's not like that anymore. It just isn't. Now they force everyone to go to school for degrees that are increasingly worthless and pay 3 times as much money. We told a whole generation that if you got a 4-year degree, you were going to be set. But nobody told them that if you got it in like many of the social sciences, you're not getting a job. It doesn't exist. You know how many people who work in the running joke is that the best educated people in America all work at Starbucks? Like, because when they got out of college with some normal sociology degree, with just a bachelor's in sociology, there's no jobs for that. You need to move on and get your master's, your PhD, and then go on and teach or start your own, therapy firm. Like it is. Dalton Allen, Kevin is so wrong on so many levels. Yes, they still exist in multiple magnitudes. You don't know what you're talking about. Step back from the mic, brother.
Dalton is exactly who we're talking about when we're saying the kids are just told, suck it up, you're wrong. I'm sorry, Dalton, but you're wrong.
And please, Dalton, I would love to know what you know about the New York City pension system. Now it's changed over the last 15 years. I'd love to know, because Well, I'm sort of sitting here. But it's those sorts of things that the world changes so quickly, but we don't adapt to the systems in play. Now, if you ask many young kids what they want to be when they get older, they don't want to be astronauts. They don't want to be firemen. They don't want to be cops. They want to be TikTok influencers.
Yes.
Pretty soon, all there's going to be is OnlyFans models.
Streamers.
They're only going to be OnlyFans models and insurance salesmen. That's the only job in 15 years. And
the world is changing as fast as technology is, and people who are above, 50, I think, like you said, Kevin, just don't get it. They don't understand AI, and they don't understand what it's going to do to the job market. They truly just can't comprehend it because it's so beyond them. And
look, there are blue collar jobs out there you can get right now. You could go become a diesel mechanic, and you can make a shit ton of money, like but not everybody wants to be covered in grease for the next 40 years. Like, I work at a diesel mechanic shop. It sucks. Like, it's not fun, but it pays well, but that's not for everybody. I don't know many female diesel mechanics. Like, it's a skill, and we need more of them.
Yeah.
And if you want to go into HVAC as a guy, you're going to kill it. But that's going to require you to learn how to start a business because the unions aren't there anymore. So it's just everything's changing.
Yeah. And especially like you mentioned with AI, right? Eliminating jobs as well. But so I just want to say, Brandon, it's so spot on. We've talked, affordability comes up so much in our conversations. On the streams, interacting with people in the chat, interacting with people in real life, like you mentioned, on the actual ground, talking to people, like hearing the real stories of people and their personal experiences. So it's not like you're just making this stuff up. Like, you're literally reporting the things you're hearing, the struggles from real people, and affordability across the board has been coming up so much. So I think it's so spot on, so great that you're focusing on that. I think that's awesome. And I just wanted to say too, in terms of like what you're seeing with the walkaway movement and the, kind of common themes that are coming out of that, it sounds like betrayal, which I think is like also hits with your story. That seems to be a very common theme, is betrayals for the
in all of them
reasons walkaway. Yeah.
Yep. In all of them. I've always said that because people ask me that question all the time, like in all the different walkway stories, the videos and the written testimonials, is there like a common experience or a common thing? And I always say the common thread of every walkway story is betrayal. Like, the specific circumstances might be different, but what it is ultimately one day somebody realized, oh my God, I've been lied to, or I've been deceived, or I've been betrayed. And whatever that exact lie or deception or betrayal is may be different, but it's all this. It's just deception and betrayal. And it's usually, people, that's the other thing, going back to this theme of like kind of like wagging your finger at young people and lecturing them. I actually believe that most people have good intentions. I mean, at least about their own lives. I think that most people want to do well. I think most people want to succeed. I think most people want to have a good life. But we've got to provide them with the tools and the atmosphere to make that a reality. And it's otherwise, I mean, isn't that why we're arguing against socialism? Isn't that the whole point? Because when you disincentivize people, then suddenly, they lose their passion, they lose their ambition, they lose their creativity, they lose all these things when you don't give them an incentive to succeed and to thrive. And we are not, even in our capitalist system, we are not giving people, I think, a motivation or inspiration that they can thrive and that they can succeed. And there's the opposite end of the spectrum as well. It's, we're talking a lot about young people, and I think that is the group that is most disproportionately disadvantaged by this. But it's, I look, I've got a lot of working years left, but I'm getting to the point where I worry all the time. I'm like, will I be able to retire? Like, and what does that even look like? And like, how do I know? And, and all that, we're talking about technology all the time. Oh, people are going to live longer. People are going to live longer. I'm like, I don't want to live longer because I don't know how. Like, how do you know if you have enough money to like, I don't want to live to be 100 because like the world just is getting so outrageously expensive. Like, I don't want to have to budget to live that long.
Exactly.
That's scary.
And you know what? Just because Dalton Allen's bothering me, just to respond to him, you're right. There still are pathways, which is what I said. You used to have to try and be a failure. Now you have to try and succeed. And those are two very, very different things. Very different things in this world. And look, I mean, if you do the right thing, I've been investing since I'm 15 years old, and my investment portfolio looks absolutely spectacular. And well, not today, but I've been rivet dancing the last couple of days. So if you do the right thing, but I had somebody who was wise in business teach me early that, you know what, don't go out every Friday night, put that $200 into an S&P 500 ETF and let it rock. And now, life is good. It used that anyone could succeed and live a middle-class life. And unless you're going into the trades, which some people suck at building things, I suck at like Legos. I was never good at it. I was a terrible carpenter. I always will be. It's not for everybody. Anybody can fly to Alaska and get a job on Deadliest Catch. But you know what? Not everybody wants to do that. Like that, not everybody wants to go work for Sig Hansen, that lunatic. I love that show, by the way. But jobs exist out there that, everyone can start a septic tank repair company. But not everybody wants to be steeped in shit for the next 40 years.
Well, and investing is something that we should be teaching, and that's when you think about all the kind of mandatory classes that we all have to take before we're allowed to graduate from high school. I mean, we were certainly never taught how to invest. And I think that could have been a lot more useful than, I don't know, I'm trying to think of some of the stupid class. Again, it's been a minute since I was in high school.
The periodic table. I took chemistry and I didn't even learn how to cook meth. And I think that was, I think I really missed out on that. But
yes.
Yeah, all that. I can tell you how long a triangle is. I don't know why I would need to know that. Remember when they told us all, well, you're not going to have a calculator in your pocket at all times.
Yeah.
And I was, oh, really? Good thing I learned how to do long division. And then they changed it all for some reason.
You use it all the time, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true.
But you know what? You're right. Whenever I speak on college campuses and kids want advice, I tell them, I'm like, you have the wealth of the human experience in your pocket. Like, go watch financial shows. Go watch people like Charles Payne and Dave Ramsey and Finances with Harry. And there's so many people out there that are like, look, this is how you start. This is how you get one foot off the ground. This is how you start an LLC. This is how you do these things. So if you want to, there's ways to succeed for sure, but they are far less than they were, and they get far less the bigger the city you get into. And I think that's the opposite of the way it used to be. You went to the cities for opportunity. You went to New York, you went to Chicago, you went to LA, you went to Miami, Dallas. Now it's like, if you want to succeed, you get out of the city. You leave. You go, herd cat. Now everybody wants to be John Dutton on Yellowstone. And I'm getting the hell out of here. Which I don't blame them. But there seems to be an exodus from these major cities. And look, if you were born in Queens, moving to Montana is going to be kind of weird, which is why I am still here, because not happening. But it's the world is changing faster than the systems we have in place. And because of that, people are looking for new systems. So I don't really blame them for it.
Well, I want to be respectful of Brandon's time. Brandon, thank you so much for being here. Is there anything else that you want to shout out, promote, where people can find you, help, support you?
Sure. And first of all, thank you. It was always great talking with you. Thanks for asking me to come on tonight. Please keep asking me to come back. I will actually be launching my own show this year. So hopefully everyone here will come on at some point and be a guest on, I don't know, the Brandon Straka show or whatever the hell it will be called. Probably something like that. I would ask people to please be on the lookout for these new, this kind of like new wave of walk away, I don't know what we want to call them, like written testimonials brought to life. They're like 60-second to 3-minute little short films, and they're really, really cool and very modern and touching. And so those will be coming out, I think, probably in the next couple of weeks. We are going to continue to go to colleges all over the country. We will be sitting in the open air on campuses, debating kids because we can't allow ourselves to be bullied, threatened, intimidated, or silenced by left-wing violence. So we're going to continue going out there and talking to kids and debating them. The Walkaway Young Voters Summit is very likely to be held on June 13th in Washington, D.C. There's a slight chance it could get pushed to the fall, but we are very, very seriously looking at around the June 13th weekend. Just a little FYI, President Trump's birthday is on June 14th, which is a Sunday, and that is also the day that they are doing the UFC fight at the White House. So it'll be a big weekend. So come to DC that weekend. You'll come to our event on Saturday. I think we're planning to do a big march and rally on Sunday morning / early afternoon, and then stick around, go to the White House, and watch the UFC fight. I mean, it'll be like an amazing weekend and celebrate President Trump's birthday. And other than that, people can go to walkawaycampaign.com if they want to learn more. If you'd like to volunteer, make a donation, go to walkawaycampaign.com. And you can follow me on every social platform. My name at Brandon Strzok, spelled Straka. And don't feel bad that you said my name wrong because everyone does. I truly do not care. Like literally everyone does. So like it is.
Because that's what I see. I know. And I usually like to ask people, but I just thought I was, I guess I was too confident when it came to your name.
No,
oh, man.
Well,
we got to go back and re-record the podcast episode.
No, I'll tell you something. Like people freak out. Okay, like there are people that have known me for 5, 6, 7 years and interviewed me like 25 times. And then somebody will be like, oh, hey, that's Brandon Strzok. And the person will be like, wait, your last name is pronounced Strzok? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, but I've been calling you Brandon Straka for like 6 years. And I'm like, I don't care. Because the thing is, like, my family were basically the only people who said Strzok. And like everyone I grew up with said Straka. So I'm used, like, I go by like 2 different names. I don't care. I don't even notice it.
I was today years old when I found this out, guys. We're all finding out at the same time. Bobby has some potential show names for you. We got Straka Strike and Straka Waka.
Yeah, boom, Straka Laka.
Straka Waka. And Basilia said, I'm so glad I found this live. So I just wanted to let you know that because that's very nice. We're glad that you found it too. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Brandon, you rock. Brandon was my second guest on my podcast. We had a great interview that is on YouTube. You should go find it. My interview, it's a full like hour with Brandon Strzok. And
we talked about like a lot of like deep stuff, like family relationship. It wasn't just like a typical political conversation.
No,
it was actually, I enjoyed it a lot.
Thank you. You said that, and that was so nice. It means so much to me. It was way more, for those of you who haven't seen the podcast, it's way more like a deeper dive from sort of a mental health perspective and just kind of getting to know the person better that you think you know, but you don't really know. So it was amazing to learn so much about your background. And so you should go check it out on YouTube for sure. Brandon, thank you so much. I heart you. I appreciate you. Thank you for all your hard work. Thank you for being here. And please keep in touch and keep, let's keep doing our thing.
Well, I will. And I'm going to talk to you offline about the summit. Kevin, I'm going to talk to you offline about the summit. Kevin, good to see you. Hannah, I just followed you on X.
Awesome.
And please reach out to me. Would love to talk to you more and get to know you better. If you want to get involved in any way, would love to have you involved. And it was a real pleasure to meet you.
So nice to meet you.
Thank you. This has been awesome. Thanks so much, Brandon. We'll see you. Good night.
Good night. Am I being kicked off?
Like you can go ahead and sign off. I'm going to close out the show.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
So I just wanted to see real quick if there are any other quick comments, but I think
and don't worry, Dalton, I still love you.
Actually, Dalton said thanks, Brandon. I don't know if he means it, but
hey, look, Dalton,
Kevin.
Dalton lives. I checked. He lives in the land of freedom and guns and giant men. So things are a little bit easier in Texas.
I don't know. Sometimes I think this is sometimes you got to ignore because if you give it to sometimes.
I will say, Dalton, I don't know where you are in Texas, but the greatest bar in the world is in Dallas. It's called Cowboys Red River. it is the greatest place I've ever been to in my life. I first went there and I just went, first off, everyone was good looking. Everyone. These like giant, like corn-fed men and these gorgeous giant women. I looked like a midget walking around in a park. Like it was it's a fun place. But
do you only love and go to places called Cowboys? Because
there's one in
Orlando too.
Yeah, I think they have to be owned by the same person, or like it's yeah. I once flew to Orlando to go to that bar. I got on a $59 flight, a $59 Southwest flight. The people who don't know how to board an airline properly, and went down there for the night and came back.
See, you love Cowboys. You just love it.
Well, I think
if you do it again, let me know. I want to go with you next time.
All right. Well, actually, I was
Uh-oh.
I was talking to a few people in your neck of the woods, and I was like, you know what we need to do? We need to gaggle all of us up together and then go to Disneyland with our Trump hats on. And then
I don't know if I'm going to do that.
Dalton's been he's been there.
Oh boy!
I've been arrested there many times. Yes.
Arrested?
Yeah. Look. It is definitely. I'm telling you, it is
you
like
bonded.
It is. It's like I got like a Roadhouse kind of vibe.
Ooh, I like that.
You know, I love it. It's so great. Like the cover bands are good.
See, we're bringing people together. Yeah. There you go. Now you and Dalton are best friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like that. This is what Bold Voices does for people.
That's it.
That's what it's all about, you know?
But yes, so are you going to come to Disney with us with your?
Of course.
Well, you have to come in uniform.
I can't do that.
Well, let's be honest. Well, first off, I think you're already around the mountain, but
I'm an independent. You know this. I am registered independent, so that's where I'm at. But I will hang with all of you guys, and we will have a great time.
Right.
What you got going on, Kevin? Anything you want to shout out? Everybody follow him, show him love. Loud Majority, watch the show.
Yeah, no, I'm live every day at 3 p.m. We talk a lot of politics, culture, finance, a lot of that stuff, a lot of how to get involved, activism stuff. You guys can follow me pretty much anywhere. Just type in Kevin Smith or Loud Majority, and I'll pop right up. I missed you. It's been like a month since I've been on. I started a new job, so I have to. You got to be good now.
Is it going well? I hope it's going well.
Oh, it's going great.
Actually, you and Hannah both started new jobs, so.
Oh, did you? Yeah,
I'm a month in now. Yeah, I just started a new job.
Very nice. Very nice.
See, pulling themselves up by their bootstraps.
Yeah.
Now, off the couch and stop being lazy.
That's it.
Put in the hard work. There you go, Dalton.
Mm-hmm.
Dalton's proud. All right, Hannah. Everybody follow Hannah at her handle. Anything else you want to shout out, Hannah? You're here every Thursday.
Yep, here Thursdays. Next Thursday we're having Chrissy. Right, I'm so excited.
Yeah, Chrissy Mayer's on as our special guest next Thursday, and the three of us have done shows together before, so we're excited. It's fun. Chrissy's really funny. She's a stand-up comic, and so it's gonna be really entertaining. We're excited.
It'll be fun. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's gonna be really fun. Well, thank you guys.
Before we go, can we just make sure that I got to get this out of me. Can someone go find Savannah Guthrie's mom so that we can be done with this? Because we're on like day 14.
Poor lady.
Of like that. That's like, it's such a tragic, especially because let's be honest here, 14 days. I mean, it's just, it's all anybody's talking about, and it's becoming a lot, I would say.
Yeah, and I feel like it becomes more, scary and sad the longer it goes on, because you start to really,
and like you know where it's going. It's pretty.
The
tragic.
longer it goes, the more depressing I think the outcome is going to be.
Oh, and James Vanderbeek.
I know that too.
The mocks.
Oh.
All my, half that movie's dead.
Yeah, I saw the picture. There was a picture of like 4 or 5 of them. I think four or five, and like 3
Billy
of
Bob,
them.
Paul Walker, and now James Vanderbeek.
Yeah.
Somehow, John Voight's gonna outlive every one of them somehow. But
no, it is really sad. I've been following his story for a while, and it's just been it's really sad. Dalton was trolling you.
I know.
Oh, you knew Dalton all along. What? No, you guys are trolling me then.
I am
a big trick on Angela.
I'm a professional now. I'm a professional at this. I'm a professional troll.
You have to say profesh.
Just Google me, and then you'll see how I upset.
Google me, bitch. Google me, bitch. Google me, bitch. What's that from? Four Christmases, that movie with Reese Witherspoon and Vince Vaughn. It's really good. I watch it pretty much every Christmas. And that kid's like whatever beating up on it. He's like, Google me, bitch.
There is nothing I enjoy doing more than like one of my local Democrats will like be rubbing, yo, just fucking Google me. And it's like the most arrogant, and like everybody I know, when I say it, they're just like,
yeah, that is the face you make. Yeah,
you can Google me, so it's exciting.
We're just saving the world one person at a time. Dalton's giving us love. Thanks, Dalton. We appreciate you. Yeah. No, this has been great. I appreciate you guys. You rock. Everybody show them love, follow them, support them in all the ways. Guys, thank you so much. It's been a great night. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Soon.
Bye. Thanks guys so much for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the show. So fun to have Brandon. Like I said, in case you missed it, there is a full podcast episode interview. It's my second podcast interview for Bold Talk, and it's with Brandon Straka, which I just found out his name is Straka and not Straka. So check it out on YouTube, subscribe on YouTube. And we have some great shows coming up for you. Bold Voices is every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern time, and every Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern time. We have special guests lined up already for next week. Next week on Tuesday, we have the Lectern Guy. That's going to be on Tuesday at 7 p.m. And on Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern time, we have Chrissy Mayer, who we just were talking about, stand-up comic. Hannah will be back. So it'll be some fun banter and jokes and good humor. So if you're in need of some laughs, we like to have fun. So join us. Please don't miss it. We appreciate you being here. We love interacting with you in the chat. I really appreciate all of you and your support. Thank you so much. It means the world to me, truly. I obviously get enough trolling and hate. So I do really see and feel the love and support. So thank you. It's not always easy, but it's we all deal with it, and such is life. We just gotta keep doing our thing, keep being you, keep being bold. And so, I just want to let you guys know I appreciate you. I wouldn't be here without you. I couldn't do it without you. So thank you from the bottom of my bold heart. I hope you guys are having a great week. I can't believe it's February. I don't know. And I'm in Florida, so it doesn't, I feel so bad for Kevin and Brandon because they're in New York, and this is my first winter not in New York, and I'm trying not to rub it in. It is beautiful here. It is like 70s. I am not dealing with this crazy, cold, stormy, terrible winter that you guys are having in New York right now. So I'm very thankful for that. I'll stop saying that, but that's it. I appreciate you guys, and thank you so much for tuning in and for interacting with us. It's so random. I'm such a random dork, but thank you, Bobby. I appreciate it. I like that you called it Jerry Springer final thoughts. I'll take it. I love it. Boldopotamus. No, but thank you. I do appreciate it. I like to wrap up with you guys and just give a little personal time before we close out. So I guess that's it. Have a great rest of your week and weekend. Stay safe. Take care of yourselves. That's super important. Please look out for yourselves, your mental health. Do fun things, be around people that you love. that bring you joy, because there's just so much going on out there and it can be really, really challenging. So yeah, just take good care of yourself, whatever that means to you, things you like to do that bring you joy, and people. And yeah, that's it. Enjoy the rest of your week, your weekend. We'll see you next week. Bold Voices Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern time, and Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern. Go over to YouTube and subscribe and watch the Brandon Straka interview. And thanks so much, guys. Have a great rest of your night. I'll see you next week.
Go.